where did it click? The Brothers Club, or rather, the Badr Club.
The Badr Club originally, right? You can cut this up on Twitter or Threads. Take it out of context. Don't take it out of context. I don't give two damns.
I came across this thing called the Badr Club.
Recently, this course
Happiness and success is not based on
They monetize it.
Now, if I had the money, would I be driving a Bentley?
Now, this is
Most likely.
If I had the money,
The last video on this channel regarding the Badr Club.
the Badr Club. What really kind of sparked this off was a series of conversations that we had with a very close friend of ours. He had been previously married twice. Both women had violated him. He suffered a heart attack.
He got stabbed by his wife.
His wife called her brothers to beat up her husband. And as they're punching him in his face and they're battering him and bruising him, he says to her, please tell them stop. She says to him, shut up. Shut up, they're gonna do this to you. Like, bro, just leave that for a second. I've been through a decade of people lying about me, slandering me, taking things out of context, disagreeing with me, saying all sorts of nonsense. And I got to the point of, I don't care. I'm gonna tell you how it is.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Chai with my Bhai. 6 figures, second wives, being refuted by scholars, having people we looked up to turn on us, being accused of stealing charity money and committing scams and fraud. We're talking about none other than the Brothers Club. Despite all of that, we're still here, inshallah, right now at the peak of our game. Why did we decide to speak about this topic? Because talking about our journey the last year, we're not storytellers, we're not entertainers, even though one could argue you could write a few books and maybe even make a movie about our lives that we've been living. The reason is we've gone through some serious obstacles within the last year, and we wanted to go through and extract benefits that you yourself can apply in your life, because no doubt throughout the course of your life you will come across or face some of the issues. I doubt there's anyone out there that will face all of them, maybe there is, but you will come across some of these issues. And wallahi, these are things that I've seen break people's backs, not literally, but stop them from progressing in their life. So that's why we wanted to do this episode, and hopefully you stay to the very end, because I promise you each and every single benefit should be written in ink of gold. So with that said, let's get straight into the episode. So the first question I'd like to ask you, Imran, is the concept of the Brothers Club, manhood. When did that first enter into your mind as a topic of importance? Was it just jumping on a bandwagon because there were other people talking about it very recently? Was it something you had in your mind from a long time? Explain to us.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. So we've been talking about manhood, for years. The proof of that is just go through our YouTube channel, go through, for example, the Child My Bhai playlist. We had an episode that we done with Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble on manhood. I think it was about a 2-hour episode, right? A 2-hour podcast. So we've been talking about the issue of manhood for years.
I'm matching in the masjid with an entire program where we're trying to change boys who are on the streets into men.
In the masjid.
In the masjid.
In the masjid, right? Because the Quran talks about manhood. And I've mentioned this many times. I actually think there's a video that I did I know there was a lecture I gave in Coventry Masjid Tawfiq many years ago, and I uploaded a clip many years ago about the Quran differentiating between men and males. Male is a reference to anyone who has the male reproductive organs, okay, the male genitalia. But then a man is a male who has characteristics that are praiseworthy. Because you could be a male and still not be a man. And whenever Allah Azza wa Jalla uses the term man, rajul, in the Quran, He uses it in a praiseworthy sense to describe the believers. الرجال قوامون على النساء. It is men that maintain the affairs of their women. رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. It is men who are not deviated and misguided by what? And distracted, by business and transactions. Rather, they are praying their salawat in the masjid and they're remembering Allah. Allah talks about men, Okay, من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه. From the believers there are men who they make a promise to Allah, and then they are truthful in fulfilling that promise. So Allah Azza wa Jal describes men in these praiseworthy senses, right? So, and the Prophet ﷺ was a man, you know, and men have these characteristics. And we started to notice.
I just need 30 seconds of your time, inshallah ta'ala. I promise it's going to be incredible. It's going to help you become the best possible man that you can be. I know there's a lot of confusion and a lot of talk about what it means to be a man. Some people want to listen to Andrew Tate, some people want to listen to the Red Pill movement, some people are confused. What's manhood about? Is it about women, sleeping with women and being strong and making money? Or is it a bit deeper than that? Well, I'm going to show you from the Quran 3 ways that you can become a great man. If you focus on just these 3 things, then it's going to give you a solid foundation of becoming the best possible man you can be. And you know you can't go wrong because it's from the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal. These are things that I implemented in my life, and I'm going to show you how to implement them. And like I said, it's absolutely free. Just click the link below and start your journey in becoming the best possible man. With that said, let's get back to the discussion. Assalamu alaikum, peace.
And I think everyone kind of picked this up with the advent of the LGBTQ plus movement, that they are really trying to separate being a man from being a male. And even being a male is something that's up for question nowadays. But subhanAllah al-Azim, in that there's been a lot of confusion. Because you've got these young males that are coming up, but they're not being taught to behave like men. They're not being told all of these praiseworthy characteristics that men have that they should adorn themselves with. So whenever we took these brothers in the masjid, we identified, and I remember this is something that me and you always would be talking about, and Sa'ad and Guled and the rest of the brothers behind the scenes, about feminine traits. This is years before Andrew Tate or Red Pill. Bro, till today, can I be honest with you? I don't know what Red Pill is. Salahatan, I've not watched a video of someone who's an authority or that actually adheres to Red Pill explaining it. I've not read a book. I've not found an article. Like, I don't watch that stuff. That's why I feel like people need to kind of read. I'm not here. I don't consume that content to then try to imitate it or emulate it. Does that make sense? Like, this is the Quran and Sunnah guiding us. It's the lenses of Allah and His Messenger's speech that we understood these things from. Does that make sense?
So, just on that point, because you mentioned we came across some feminine traits, and this was in business, in dealings, in friendships. We had a lot of issues with a lot of brothers, and we would always, I remember, look at each other and say, okay, that's like, because we were trying to think, how do we deal with this? Like, what should we do? Should we stick it on the brother? Should we just stay quiet? Should we do this? What are some of these feminine traits?
Feminine traits are many. Number one,
I know you're really enjoying the podcast. I'm really sorry to disturb you, but I know you're going to love what I have to offer you right now. Our Umrah with the Mandem X trip is almost sold out. This Sunday, the 13th of August, registration will be closing. If you sign up before Sunday, inshallah, you'll get the Umrah package itself. On top of that, you'll get the Umrah setup on the Brothers Club, where we taught how to set up your own Umrah company. So you'll be able to set up your own Umrah company. You'll be learning, observing us managing our Umrah company. On top of that, you're going to get £2,000 worth of courses from the Brothers Club, the Arabic Code, the Knowledge College. There is no reason to not sign up. And remember, this is our last and final ever Umrah with the Mandem, and our trips, alhamdulillah, are always absolutely life-changing. And we're so confident that if by the last day of the trip you don't feel ready to change your life, we'll give you your money back. If you are interested, you can go to the description, message the number on WhatsApp, and hopefully, inshallah, we'll see you at the airport. Assalamu alaikum. Let's get back to the episode.
I believe not being able to be patient and in times of difficulty and calamity and trial and suffering is a feminine trait.
Giving up at the first obstacle.
Right, and just like being a victim and crying over life and not being able to be resilient and determined to overcome obstacles. Because again, the Prophet ﷺ told us that the jihad of the women is Hajj. Like, women are not ever expected to be on the front line of the battlefield to defend. Like, the men do that because men can take more. A man can actually,
even though they dislike it. It's mentioned in the Quran that jihad has been legislated for you, even though you dislike it.
Not the ruling, but the pain and suffering and the bloodshed that comes with it.
You will still have to deal with it and go ahead with it.
So point being is that women, men can actually find bullets flying at you. You need to understand this. Like, a man is resilient, that he can actually stand in the face of bullets flying in his face. That's why when you look at the armies, even just generally speaking, even in Kafir countries, are built up of what? Men. Like, bro, just leave that for a second. A man has the capacity to stand on the front line for Allah's sake, defending his loved ones and defending the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and bullets are flying in his head or in his direction. So my point is that now women can't. So Hajj is hard enough for them. The Prophet said this is their jihad. So now that shows a man should be able to what? He should be able to take it. He should be able to what? He should be able to like firm difficulties in life. Okay, you know, you're struggling with money, be patient. Okay, this girl left you, be patient. Have to work hard to gain success, be patient. Another characteristic, you have something to add to that?
I just wanted to mention one thing which I feel like is very important in these types of discussions, because a lot of discussions between people when it comes to these kind of issues, and people love pulling out exceptions to the rule. But I know a woman who's a great fighter, who fights in the battle and bullets fly at her. I know a man who'd run away in battle. Yes, these are exceptions. We're talking about the general rule. There are always exceptions to everything. If I say humans have 2 legs, but there's a man who was born with 3, does that mean I can't now say the statement that humans have 2 legs? No, because that's, there is a spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about gender spectrum, we believe it's binary.
Yeah.
But in terms of, there's a spectrum in terms of your level of manhood.
100%.
You can be a more complete man, you can be a deficient man. You can have a man with some feminine traits, you can be a woman with some masculine traits.
The proof of that is that Allah Azza wa Jalla, when he described Maryam salamun alayha, who was a woman, he mentioned her in Surah Al-Anbiya amongst the prophets who were all men. Because she had characteristics that were praiseworthy, ones that generally are known amongst men. For example, Allah said in Surah Ali Imran, Ya Maryam qanuti li rabbiki wasjudi wa raka'i ma'a raki'in. O Maryam, make sujood and ruku' with the ones who are doing ruku'. And ar-raki'in here is a masculine term. Raki'at would be the feminine term. Making ruku' with the men, i.e. not making ruku' like as in you're literally with the men doing ruku' in their presence in the rows, like you're free mixing stuff for Allah, never. She was always away from the men. Does that make sense? But point being is that as in this is something that the men do. So you're with the men in that you do this action with them. You have perfected your ruku' and your sujood and your salah. So point being is that na'am, generally speaking, and there are many women that are better than men of today. Oh, 100%. In fact, there are women that are better than every man on earth today. There are women that are better than every man on earth today. But nonetheless, these are...
That's why that's important to mention, because there's a lot of people fitna and chaos and fasad that will use things like this to try and throw you off and make you think, raw. And sometimes even you might even question yourself. You're like, wow, you know what, they're right. They're not right. They're just being stupid. Anyway, so moving on.
Another characteristic which I believe is feminine is argumentation. Like, as in... not even argumentation, but irrational argumentation. Like argumentation that doesn't kind of follow
it doesn't
common
ever
sense.
Yeah, and there's no fruits at the end of it.
Because the Prophet said, "Naqisatu aqli wa deen." That a characteristic that women have is that they are deficient in what?
The religion and the intellect.
And the intellect. Okay, their religion because they come on their menses, or they are not able to pray their salawat, and then, so naturally you're missing out on an act of worship. Is going to decrease your iman. Of course, there's benefits to that, and that they can bear children because of that process. So, there's
pros and cons.
Yeah, good. But generally speaking, now when it comes, the second thing is common sense. Okay, common sense. A man who just, when you talk to him, when you have a discussion, when you have a debate or some kind of a discussion, you're trying to walk him down a path, and like he's just lacking common sense, and he's just arguing. Like sometimes I speak
to the point of ridiculousness.
And honestly, bro, you think you're talking to a woman.
Or a madman. Either you're crazy or you're feminine.
Right. Yeah, you can put it like that. And Allah said about women in the Quran, وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. Like women are not the best at expressing themselves, because women are very good emotionally. They have greater emotional intelligence than men, right? So when you have better emotional intelligence and you're not, and that's your strong point, and your strong point isn't necessarily linear intelligence or stuff that requires a bit more common sense. Like you're obviously going to be a little bit weaker in this regard, and some brothers you just feel like, bruv, stop it. Also backbiting, and insulting, like Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin asa an yakunu khayran minhum. Like oh you believe, do not insult one another. Perhaps they might be better than you. What's shocking here is that refers to the men and the women. But Allah then specifically singled out the women and said, oh believing women, do not insult other women because they might be better than you. And then what's shocking there, some of the scholars they mention is because why did Allah single out the women? Because it's something that's a bit more specific to women, that women are known. Also, not being grateful is a feminine characteristic. Why? Because the Prophet said, I was shown the hellfire, and the majority of people that were in the hellfire are women. And the Sahaba said, why? The Prophet said, they disbelieve. They asked, did they disbelieve in Allah? And the Prophet said, no, they disbelieved in the good that their husbands had done. If he done all of this good, and one time he done something that she didn't like, she would then say to him, "ما رأيت منك خيرا قط." I never saw any good from you. So a characteristic of feminine.
So
feminine. My point is, with women we can make some type of excuse in
Yeah.
that.
That's how Allah created them.
Right, even then that's not justifying it for them, and they have to work. A man can say, "Oh, Allah created me weak with regards to women. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا, so I'm just going to fornicate." No, you have to fight. You have to become better. You have to go against the deficiencies that are inside of you,
Person
men
can
and
be
women.
a bit more empathetic. towards
Right,
them.
but it's harder for me to accept when a man behaves like a woman because you were created as a man.
Okay, so we experienced these dealings with people in the da'wah, sadly. We dealt with people in business like this, in our social circles.
Yeah.
And these all made us realize there's a big, big problem here. And as you said, that's what led us to this general concept of manhood is something that needs to be spoken about.
We've been talking about it
And we've been
throughout
talking
the
about
previous
it.
decade.
We've been doing Charma Buys on it. We've done matting in the masjids. We've done many different videos talking
Lectures,
about
reminders,
various different aspects of manhood as a general topic. The same way we talk about zina and riba and all these other things. What is it, or at what point did it occur to you the actual concept of the Brothers Club as an organization dedicated to calling towards manhood? What was the turning point? What was the moment where this actual idea of the organization as it is today came into your mind? And what was like the first thing that came to your mind once this idea came?
So the Brothers Club, specifically this project, what really kind of sparked this off was a series of conversations that we had with a very close friend of ours. This brother, may Allah bless him. I mean, okay. He had been previously married twice. Both women had violated him. Like, to paint a picture, to show you the extent, as a 31, 32-year-old man, he suffered a heart attack. And he's a very healthy brother.
Very healthy.
Like if you look at his physique,
yeah, it's proper.
like Allahumma barik. Allahumma barik.
And he does a lot of exercise. He can,
He's a crazy athlete.
Yeah,
As in
he's
the kind of fitness he's involved in is like, bro, second to none. And I would love to actually bring him on the podcast, talk about his story, because it would be valuable and beneficial, but I don't want to give too much away for people to kind of draw the connection. But I got violated, bro. I'm saying, like, it breaks your heart. Also, when it came to business, he got betrayed, almost got arrested.
got stabbed.
Got stabbed. When he got arrested, it wasn't because he did something wrong. It's because he almost got arrested, not because he did something wrong, because his business partner betrayed him, turned on him, tried to backstab him, right? And
when he got stabbed, he got stabbed by his wife.
yeah. So now, point being is that this particular brother, may Allah bless him, I mean, is that when I was speaking with him, I noticed, sometimes when you go through so much hardship, yeah, and you take so much nonsense from people, you snap and you wake up, you say, bro, I'm not taking this no more. I'm not taking this no more, bro. And I would be like, well, bro, okay, that's good, but don't go into another extreme. And my worry used to be, are you going into another extreme? Because he used to say certain things. He used to say certain things that I felt like, now you're bordering un-Islamic, possibly even saying un-Islamic things. Does that make sense? But he would often mention to me that he lost trust in a lot of the du'at. He said, because listening to these du'at is what led me to being
The weak, oppressed
man.
victim that was.
He used to say, I used to be taught shyness in the frame of fear.
Or cowardice.
Like, the Prophet ﷺ, what did he mention? He said, Al-haya kullu khair. Shyness is all good, right? All of shyness is good. So he said, I was taught that, which I accept, shyness is good, but it was framed with fear. What I mean by that, to give an example, is that, some people say, oh, I'm too shy. I feel shy to tell him he's wrong. No, you're scared to tell him he's wrong. Like, when it comes to enjoying the good and forbidding the evil, you should never be shy. As in, it's not shyness. Like, there's actually a hadith from Sunnah Tirmidhi. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't let your fear of a man, don't let the haiba, the presence of a man, or the status that he has, prevent you from telling him the truth, forbidding the evil. Hadith Sunnah Tirmidhi. So you can never say, I'm too shy to correct his mistake. You're scared. You feel scared. Does that make sense? So I'm not shy to go speak to him. You're scared to go speak to him. Shyness is something that prevents you from sin. That's what shyness is. Like when the scholars discuss what shyness is in the hadith, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحْيِ فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you are not shy, then you will do whatever you want. Like shyness is a barrier that prevents you from sin. I'm too shy to let Allah see me do this sin. I'm too shy to swear. Like that's what shyness is, not something that prevents you from khair. So he's like things like that. And he goes like, I grew up watching these du'at. I'll give you an example, the famous example of Mufti Menk that Brother Gabriel Romani kind of became very popular after he responded and refuted and corrected. When Mufti Menk was saying, you know, like if my wife calls me from a different country and tells me to move, I will just move. Like, I mean, really, if that's the kind of control and leverage your wife has on you, okay. But that's not healthy, we tell him, brothers.
Yeah, that's not the right
especially in a
message.
day and age when they're being criminalized for being men. Do you understand? They're being criminalized for being men. And Allah Azza wa Jalla told us, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Right? The men are the maintainers of the women. وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ. The man has a station above his wife. And all of these things. And the
That's
man
not
is
to
the
say that
breadwinner.
obviously a man can't have fun or jokes or
100%,
we're not saying that at all.
Yeah.
But we're saying there are certain things, especially when you're on a public platform
Yeah.
where everyone is listening to you, young people looking up to you, and in their minds like this is what the asl is. This is what the primary I'm going to be a joker.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be a joke man in your marriage. If you're a joke man in your marriage, you will get walked all over, and she won't even find you attractive.
She could be a righteous woman, brother. She could be a niqabi, praise her, daily praise. But her natural disposition is to be attracted to dominance.
She wants to be led.
She wants to be led. Women are...
She needs to be led.
Someone, you can cut this up on Twitter or Threads. Take it out of context. Don't take it out of context. I don't give two damns. And I don't really care anymore. I've been through a decade of people lying about me, slandering me, taking things out of context, disagreeing with me, saying all sorts of nonsense. And I got to the point of, I don't care. I'm going to tell you how it is. Women are not attracted to weak men. Women. Again, like you said, don't mention the 1, 2 odd examples of women that might be. Does that make sense? But women as a genus, as a jinns, right, are not attracted to weakness. Does that make sense? As in, but that's a different discussion. I think we'll go and take a deep dive into that another day. But point being is that his point was, bro, that's all of these du'at are pushing. That one, I'm sure we've heard this famous joke that all of these celebrity du'at like to say when they come on stage, right? They like to say things like, you know, if you make a mistake, your wife is always right and you're wrong. Like you heard them say things like this, right? And we grew up on that. By the way, I feel like they're a lot more scared to say things like this now because of the clapback of
The pushback
that has come from brothers that are like, bro, stop talking this waffle. And now everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon of manhood. But his point was, bro, I have been, I became a weak man because of what these men were saying to me. Like, I thought this was deen. So now I'm not listening to them because I don't trust none of them. Does that make sense? And he was like, there's just a few select brothers that I trust, that keep it real. Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble. He also mentioned Ustad Abdul Rahman. Okay, he mentioned, not that I'm trying to compare myself, but he mentioned myself. He said, Imran, I really like to take a while. So
where does that lead? How does that lead to a club? How to this project?
Beautiful. So then those conversations I'd have with him, and remember, more time we're speaking about aqeed, tawheed, fiqh, that's our day to day. When I speak with him, the only topic is men and women. That's the only topic, right? That's his thing. Does that make sense? So in spending more time with him, he started to open my eyes to certain things. And then I'm going back and I'm like, this is the problem. I'm seeing this amongst brothers. There's a brother I know, Akhi man, whose wife called her brothers to beat up her husband. And as they're punching him in his face and they're battering him and bruising him, he says to her, please tell them stop. And she says to him, shut up. Shut up, they're going to do this to you. And he's a student of knowledge, hafid bi kitabillah, okay? But this is what we're raising our brothers on. To then feel as if, you know, that's normal. Now, of course, that's an extreme circumstance, but I can tell you, on the spectrum of men becoming weak and then being violated by their wives, there's mild and then there's extreme. Anything towards that side of the spectrum is bad.
It's bad.
Regardless, does that make sense? So point being is that...
So like basically he opened your eyes. It's like, you know, like when you buy a car, you see that car everywhere now.
Literally.
So he opened your eyes to the problems, and then now when you go back, like this is the problem. Like this brother who's struggling with his business. Why is he struggling with his business? Because he's having issues at home with his wife, and that's clogging up his mind.
Big time.
That's why his business is failing. This brother's struggling with his deen. Why? Because he can't get married. Why? Because all these sisters want these X, Y, Z things, and he's struggling to find them. So that's when you realize that these were all problems that were happening through the existing.
Even your mental state. Like a man's mental state has to be resilient. A man has to be determined. A man can't shake, akhi. And he can't just, with the wind, just difficulty comes or a crowd walks one way and he just gets off course. Like our brothers are mentally weak, bro. Sad, wallahi. Mentally weak. Like why do they go back to drugs? Or not just taking, supplying. Because they just don't have the soul. You know, this is deep. It's deep for a second when you think about it, right? A brother who wants to change his life, but he needs to pay the bills. He's selling drugs. He understands it's wrong. I want to stop. I want to leave. He tries for a little bit, but he goes back to selling drugs.
He understands that Allah is Ar-Razaq.
He understands Allah is Ar-Razaq. He does. He does understand Allah is Ar-Razaq. He loses patience though. There's a multiplicity of reasons why he went back down. Okay, one could say he didn't take the means. He didn't learn another craft. Didn't learn another skill. I believe potentially a lot of that. But you know, I feel like it's also a deeper issue. He's insecure. He doesn't actually believe.
You can do anything successful outside of this.
Outside of this.
This is all I know.
It's all I know. If only he realized to run a drug operation is literally the fundamental principles
Of business.
of business in many ways.
Supply, demand, customers, start, keep them happy.
Management, scale.
Referrals, word of mouth referrals.
Scales, promotion. You know what I'm saying? If only he just was able to reframe that.
But it's that profound though. If that same brother was raised in a completely different environment, if he wasn't in the council estates, if he got raised by a wealthy family, put into a private school, well, he probably would have been a millionaire or a billionaire. Like, we know brothers that were millionaires off the drug trade. But it's like, that's because of the environment. Obviously, they're to blame. No, we're not taking away the blame from them. But look at the importance of putting yourself in the right environment. Look at the importance, as parents that are watching this, of making sure your children grow up in the right environment.
To just give you an example, right? Yesterday we were with a brother, right? Last night, the brothers, some of them, they took us out on their boat. We went to a private island. We took some of the brothers
Private
club
beach.
members. Yeah, we took some of the brothers from the brothers club, the first-hand elite members, mashallah, who are here with us in Dubai. And the particular brother we were with, mashallah, he's an investor with a $150 million investment pool. So that's not his net worth. That's not his net worth. It's a $150 million investment pool. Now, a lot of the people on Instagram and YouTube that people watch that are like, you know, I don't like the word guru, but like business gurus that everyone's looking up to, who have got like $70-80 million investment companies or net worth. 70-80 million is a lot, bro. This brother's doubled that in just terms of his pool of investment, not even his net worth. Just the amount of money he has to invest. I love it. So being with the brother, and by the way, practicing brother, healthy brother, fit brother, on his salah, right? I said to him, Akhi, being in the position that you are, Allah barik, you're rare. You're in the top probably 1% of people in terms of finances. Only that, you're practicing. You don't compromise your deed. You don't engage in riba and haram and all of these things. I said, from your perspective, what's one of the main reasons why we don't have more practicing brothers occupying seats like you and with levels of success like you? You know what he said? His answer was shocking, it was profound. He said, it's the mindset. We're told that poverty is virtuous.
Poverty is piety.
Now, you know why this is absolutely shocking and diabolical? Because Allah said to the Prophet in the Quran, وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. Muhammad, we made you rich.
Isn't that in terms of Iman?
So, there are different tafsir that scholars they give. And there's a principle which is when the ayah in the Quran is general and many things can fall under it, it takes all of them, as long as it doesn't contradict another evidence. So now in terms of Iman, in terms of his wife Khadija, and also in terms of money, the Prophet was able to access 1/5 of the war booty. And not only that, he being the leader of the Muslims, was able to get a cut from that even before it was distributed. Okay? And he had the inheritance of Khadija radiallahu anha and his parents. And there's a book that's written on 10 different sources of income that the Prophet had. Of course, he was not buying equivalent of Rolexes and whatnot. He was obviously giving his money away. He lived for the sake of Allah, he lived for the akhirah. But actually, one of the ways that the akhirah is earned is through sadaqah, through money, through what you do with your money. Does that make sense? But point being is that the Prophet used to actually seek refuge in Allah from poverty. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-faqr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from poverty.
Yeah, as Muslims, we're programmed to believe that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was poor.
That's
Something that's even an insult to call the Prophet poor.
Of course it's an insult. Because the Yahud used poverty as an insult for Allah. They held it at Allah as an insult. لَقَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ فَقِيرٌ وَنَحْنُ أَغْنِيَاءٌ. They said, Allah has heard the statement of the Yahud when they say that Allah is poor and we are rich. So it is an insult. It is an insult. Does that make sense? So the point being here is that, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, look how rich he was, bro. One time the Prophet gave 4,000 approximately dinar gold coins, which is the equivalent to over 500,000 in today's currency. One time sadaqah. Imagine giving 500,000 sadaqah once. And he did that twice. He gave his whole net worth, which is a lot. And Allah gave it back. And then we've got examples of Abdurrahman ibn Awf radiallahu anhu. From the top 10 promised Jannah, how many were there? But the point that I'm trying to make is that this is, and in response to your question, right? This is a frame. This is a frame that we are told. People in the da'wah tell us this. When I go to the ulama, the real scholars, they don't tell me this, bro. They tell me that ilm is the greatest thing. And nothing compares to ilm. And never chase the akhirah. And earn the akhirah through the dunya, if anything, right? But I never went to a alim who told me, no, don't invest. Don't do business. They just told me, Imran, invest smart. Invest in things or engage in business practices
that will allow you to continue.
That will allow you to continue seeking knowledge and da'wah. Not ones that are going to distract you and
consume your time.
No, say Imran, Shaykh Allah Hafidullah Ta'ala, may Allah bless him. He said, Imran, stop. May Allah bless him. He actually told me, he said, Imran, stop adding businesses now. It's busying you. Work on one and make it good and be smart and find ways to be efficient so you can come and seek knowledge and study. Barakallahu feeh. May Allah bless him, right? Like, you don't come across scholars saying, don't exercise and be healthy. You don't. They tell you don't go extreme and make your life all about the gym and upload selfies and pictures of your aura on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, they'll tell you that. Naam. But no one will tell you don't be healthy. When you actually go to the mashayikh, they'll tell you, bro, be in shape. Like, be in shape. Be healthy. Point being is that the framing is wrong. Does that make sense? Likewise, parents. Like, when you look at the difference between a rich person's father and a poor person's father, which is majority, a poor person or working class father would say, get a job, get a degree. That's what they tell you to aspire towards. The rich man's father will tell you, invest in these type of assets. Look at these companies. Look at these portfolios.
He's seen big money. He knows how big money works.
Does that make sense? It's the frame, the mindset. So we realize altogether these are all things that are problematic. And then going back and looking at the problems with the brothers in terms of their deen, akhi. A man can't get up to pray Fajr in the masjid, bro. Akhi, you're a weak man. Allah called men the ones who pray in the masjid, right? And if you can't stay true to your promises and you lie and you break oaths, that's not manly, because Allah said that's a manly characteristic. You can't provide for your family. Akhi, there's brothers that are saying, like there's one brother, he said to me, my wife, she doesn't respond to my call for intimacy in the bed, which is haram under circumstance, unless she's on her menses or she's sick. She's got no excuse, right? But anyway, on speaking to him, he told me it's because she goes to work. So I said, Akhi, so tell her not to work. Tell her, keep back, relax, you provide. If work is getting in the way of her fulfilling her obligations,
she's tired after work, and
right,
she's up early in the morning.
Then work does not take precedence of your husband. He said, no, she has to work, she pays the rent.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
I said, bro, she's got leverage over you, bro. Now, that woman still has to
fulfill the rights
of her husband, or she can say, I don't want to be in this marriage, right? Because she's in the marriage, that's a right the husband has, right?
But she's got the right to not have to work. She's got the right to be provided for, which you're not doing for her.
And obviously they can go to scholars and mufti to find out a fatwa for a particular circumstance. But what I just wanted to take from this was the spirit of the problem. There is the gist of the problem, which is that, bro, you're asking her to fulfill your rights, but you're not fulfilling her rights. And you're telling her, have intimacy with me at 11 p.m. at night. And she's saying, okay, I'm going to have intimacy with you. I'm going to go have to do ghusl, wash my hair, kada wa kada, and do intimacy and all that. Then go to sleep. And you still want me to wake up in time for work and have energy so I can put food on the plate, rude boy?
What do I need you for?
Do you understand? So I'm saying all these issues,
So where did it click? The Brothers Club,
Okay, so I woke up in
or
the,
rather, the Badr Club.
the Badr Club originally, right? So I woke up in the morning one day and I was just in bed. And, you know, I hate those days where I'm just in bed and I'm just wasting time. Like, astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive me. Like, you know, sometimes it happens, and it's terrible. I find like those are
Slow start.
Yeah, I hate those days. You should just get out of bed straight away, right? But this particular day I was in bed and alhamdulillah, I was just thinking, and I was just thinking, you know, we need to make a club. We need to make a club. We need to make a club of brothers, a network brothers, elite brothers. We can help them with their deen, their finances, their mental health, physical health, their relationships, and all of that will serve them to ultimately become better slaves of Allah Azza wa Jal on this form at a high level, elite level. Okay, what's stopping this? I'm just going through all of these things, the stories of all the brothers, the horror stories are just going from my mind back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we need to do something. So I was like, okay, cool. Who do I can't do this on my own. I've already got enough on my plate. So I make a phone call. I make a phone call to my business partner, Abbas, because me and him run Sunnah Match. There was another brother who used to work for us as well, right? So I said, emergency meeting, guys, I've got an idea. The reason it just made sense to go to Sunnah Match first was because I was like, we can target the relationship angle first, right?
Sunnah Match is already providing a service for brothers to
Right.
help them achieve manhood.
Exactly. So I was like, look, we can
Makes sense.
run this. So they didn't really want on it. And I remember I was energetic, I was gassed. I was like, brothers, I've got an idea. This idea's gonna change the game. Not just that, we can make a business out of it because I'm teaching you. And here's the thing that I forgot to mention, right? Is that alhamdulillah, we've been working on these things in our own life. Like, we've had ups and downs in marriages, and with Allah's permission, we've overcome. We've had ups and downs when it comes to finances, and then alhamdulillah, Allah Azza wa Jal allowed us to become entrepreneurs, and we've made, you know, and we put it out there. We made 6 figures a couple of times over, alhamdulillah. Point being is that, you know, we've been through difficulties and we've got mental resilience. Like, all of these things, I'm not teaching you what I don't know. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm not claiming to be the best entrepreneur who can teach you in the world, but I can tell you I did this
I've
as a
made 6
practicing
figures. I can
person.
teach you 6 figures.
Yeah, of course, alhamdulillah. So I'm saying, and I did this while seeking knowledge, whilst giving da'wah, whilst I have marriage and, you know, this, that, I've got family commitments. Here's the balance. Here's what you do. I'm just going to tell you how to do it for us, for our type of people. Does that make sense? People from the akhirah, how do you make 6 figures, but still the akhirah is in front of your eyes. Point being is that I got in touch with the brothers. I'm gassed, I'm energetic. I'm like, we could charge for this though, because this is not da'wah. I'm teaching you how to make money. I'll teach you relationship, like psychology, and how to be more attractive to your wife. So I said, we could charge money, we can make a killing of this. The brothers were not on it. They were like, I didn't even waste time trying to convince them. I said, okay, no worries. Jazakallah khair, assalamu alaikum, barakallah. Boom, I called you. I said, Abakar, I got an idea. This idea is going to change the game. We're going to help so many brothers. But we can make money off it too. You were like, yeah, that sounds sick. Let's do it.
Because me, I've always been about trying to help brothers. I've got brothers from Jahiliyyah. I've brought them to Umrah. I've tried to help in other ways. And one of the things that I actually found that was so hard for them was the finances, bro. How the hell am I supposed to leave my job where I'm free mixing, or leave my job where I'm, you know, serving alcohol, or, you know, just as, you know, some scholars in the UK say, you know, you're just swiping, beep, you're just swiping the alcohol.
Just
It's fine.
swiping pigs,
Just do it, no problem.
Pigs,
or
he said
pork,
pigs.
or
Yeah.
whatever it was. The point is that for them, it's like, what do you want me to do, bro? Like, I'm not at that level of iman yet where I can just fully just firm it. I need something. So it's like, bro, like
He should be at that level.
He should be.
But we're clearly seeing a problem.
clearly seeing problems. So it's
So let
like,
me help him.
Let's help him. If we can find a way to help him, let's do it. One thing I want to pick out there, because I feel like a lot of people would benefit from this. You came up with an idea. In your mind, it was amazing. The first people that came to your mind to go to pitch it to them, they basically shut it down. So a lot of people that happens to, they'll kind of just go back to shock. You know what? Let me go back to the drawing board. Let me come up with a different idea. What is it that made you think, no, it's not the idea that's bad, but you just either haven't understood it or you don't see the value in it. Let me go to someone else. Like, and where did that process come to you from? And has there ever been situations where you come up with an idea, someone shut it down, and you just kind of dropped it and then regretted it after?
So I've gone through 2 stages in my life, and I've gone back and forth like a ping pong in these stages many times. And alhamdulillah, I feel like I'm finally at a place where I'm solid. I started off not giving a damn what people thought. I'm going to do what I think is right. I don't care. I believe in this. It's going to happen. Okay. And then I found that I'm not as intelligent or as wise as I thought I was. And things that I thought were right, I was making mistakes. So then I became very scared to stick to my positions. I became scared. I thought maybe this is haram. This might dip me in hell, or this might clearly create a lot of problems. And maybe at one point I even had waswas with regards to my opinions and thoughts, and I lost conviction to the point where anytime anyone criticized, I just be like, yeah, never mind. To the point where I just stopped doing anything. I was just becoming suffocated. Does that make sense? And now I'm back at a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to stick to something and I believe it to be true with conviction, alhamdulillah, and I've learned the principles in terms of the Quran and the Sunnah, and you don't have a clear-cut dalil to tell me I'm wrong, and I believe this is good, I'm going to do it. And I find solace, and I find my role model with regards to this, Abu Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when the people apostatized from the religion of Islam after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, we're going to fight them now because they stopped paying the zakat, and all of the Sahaba disagreed with him. Every single one, even Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, said, Abu Bakr is wrong. Abu Bakr looked at him. Akhi, imagine one man when everyone around you, Akhi, kibar as-Sahaba, everyone around you is telling you this is wrong. And he was obviously the most knowledgeable, right? So it shows that you can't do it without knowledge. It shows you can't do it without ilm. You have to have some ilm, right? Or a lot of ilm, or a significant amount of ilm. He was like, even if they refuse to pay me the rope that they tied a camel with, that they paid the Prophet ﷺ, I'm going to go to war with them. And Abu Bakr said, at that moment I realized, Abu Bakr, like, he's not changing his mind. And then all of the Sahaba realized, no, he was actually right. And that's why Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, Anta al-jama'a wa law kunta wahda. You are the jama'ah, the group, the congregation, even if you're alone that day.
Other stories like Imam Ahmed, he was the last one standing. All the other scholars turned.
Right. So I'm saying the difference between when I used to be upon conviction and not listen to anyone, and when I was just running with every negative thing that was thrown to me.
So how do you balance that between being hard-headed and stubborn on your position and like irrationally to that point, and between just being wishy-washy?
I was never hard-headed. I don't believe that's a characteristic that I suffer from, alhamdulillah.
No, I believe watching this at home.
I was just overconfident, or I thought I was better than I was.
Okay.
That's all. No, that's all. It's a big problem. The point was that the defining line for me was seeking knowledge. And not seeking copy and paste knowledge. Because most people, when they say I'm Salafi, you're just being told, you're just copy and pasting what was from above passed down. Like, you don't actually know Manhaj Salaf. You don't know it, bro. With all due respect, you don't know it. Okay, you're a Salafi, no problem. But you don't know it. You're ascribing to something and adhering as best you can in some type of way to something that you don't fully understand. Does that make sense?
And I feel like one of the issues why a lot of people fall into that is the issue of just having one single teacher.
Oh, 100%.
If you have multiple teachers, you get multiple different perspectives. I feel that's one thing that's really, really benefited us, is by having, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed us with multiple teachers.
May Allah bless Sheikh Muhammad al-Ishaqi, one of my mashayikh that I really benefit from Somalia, from Somaliland. May Allah preserve him. I mean, he mentioned something that blew my mind one day. He said, Allah mentioned about the bee in the Quran. Allah said the bee, Allah says to it, the bee goes across the mountains and it takes the pollen from what? All the various different flowers. And once the bee goes here, there, it collects this pollen from all the different flowers. What comes out of his stomach is honey, shifa'an lin-nas. It is a cure for the people. So he said, be like that when it comes to knowledge. Go to all of the different mashayikh of the sunnah, ones who are actually knowledgeable and are on the sunnah of the Prophet. Go to them, and what you do is you'll find so much benefit, you find different flavors from everyone. The Quran and Sunnah is the same, the message is the same. The application and implementation might change from time to time, from place to place. Because what? The circumstances are different. The application, right? In certain places, there's some things that are just always the same, and some things that application-wise, like for example, because of the fitan that exists in that land or that time or that place or whatever have you, right? So point being is that when you go to all the different mashayikh, like from some you're going to learn fiqh, some you're going to learn adab, some you're going to learn, marriage. Some scholars you're going to learn Quran, you're going to learn tajweed, you're going to learn the importance of the Quran. Other scholars you're going to learn adab. Some you're going to learn the manners of a student of knowledge. You're going to learn so much from various. Like Sheikh Asim al-Quryuti, who's a muhaddith. But you know what I benefit from him? It's hard to be good to my wife. And you know what I benefit from him? Like, if I could say I took away an ilm from Sheikh Asim al-Quryuti, it was make your brothers in Islam happy and the importance of Islamic brotherhood.
And knowing the audience that you're talking to.
Yeah,
that's something that he perfected.
Right. And that was great. And to be honest, I should have referenced him in the previous podcast that we did, because there was something he mentioned which actually blew my mind, which just to give you an example, for those who watched the previous podcast, we were talking about how I had a particular brother who I looked up to in terms of deen, and he said, women it's not their right for you to spend time with them. Sheikh Asim al-Quryuti, mashallah, he actually gave an example on our previous trip in Mecca, where the Prophet ﷺ, he was invited to an invitation, and he said, can Aisha come for dinner? And they said, Ya Rasul, we just wanted you. And the Prophet respectfully rejected the invitation because he couldn't bring his wife. Like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? So the balance. Point being is that when you go to different mashayikh and ulama, you find this beautiful flavor. Does that make sense? And when you find it from it, is the cure for mankind. So that's what the Shaykh mentioned. So now going to different mashayikh and ulama, and wallahi man, it brings you.
So the process, because you mentioned that you spoke to these brothers, they weren't too keen on it, you met someone else.
So just because I actually lost my train of thought there. So then the point was that I studied and I started studying and I carried on studying, and I got to a point where I felt a degree of confidence in my positions. Because there's some things where this Quran Sunnah is clear cut dalil. Haram, halal, kufr, iman, sunnah, bid'ah, and there's some things which are ijtihad, where you got to look at both sides. It's not that there's an ayah from the Quran and Sunnah telling you Bitcoin is haram. It's a scholar who's using principles from the Quran and Sunnah telling you it's haram or halal. And there are some that says haram, and there's some that says halal. But Allah gave me tawfiq to be in a position where I can look at both and I can say, yeah, I agree with the Shaykh. I agree with you. There's some issues where I'm like, issues a bit too complicated and I'm still a bit, concerned. I don't know, like Forex trading. I don't have a position. I used to believe it was haram. I'm still inclined towards that position, but I don't mention it. I don't say it now, because there are scholars that have said it's halal, and I realize I just don't understand Forex. And currently I'm more interested in other topics that I'm studying, and I haven't come to that yet. So point being is that you gain confidence in your decisions when, and to be honest, it also happened with Sunnah match. I remember a brother that I really loved and respected, and I used to benefit and study from. Ask Allah, still benefit and study. When I was setting up Sunnah match, he said, don't do it. He said, you're going to be a reason for people to commit zina. I said to him, no, it's not going to be no zina. You're going to go straight to the wali. In his mind, he's thinking of a match. And I'm like, it's not going to be like that.
But he couldn't see past that.
He couldn't see past it. He said, no, trust me, just be on the safe side, don't. But I'm like, brothers are doing zina because they can't get married.
I'm trying to provide a halal alternative.
And also, I'm trying to make money from it. It was a business. Does that make sense? So I'm like, okay, cool. But that was the first time. I remember I went through like 3-4 years. So I was like, that was the first time after like maybe 3, 4, 5 years of just being insecure about my own positions and suffering from imposter syndrome to a really high degree, that I was like, you know what? No, Sunnah match is a good idea. And obviously I spoke to other mashayikh and whatnot, and we have one of our mashayikh who's our reference point for Sunnah match. Any new feature that we involve, we jump on the phone and he gives us fatwa and whatever have you. But now those same brothers who said don't do Sunnah match because it might lead to zina, are like, can you add my family member on Sunnah match, please? Because they see the benefit. So sometimes you just gotta take a position, but it can't be done upon ignorance.
So because I don't want to dwell on this point for too long, what's a process you would recommend for brothers? Say a brother comes up with an idea. How should he determine, and he wants to share it with someone, how does he determine whether or not to keep going? Does he stop? Does he what are some guiding
principles? You can't escape going to the people of knowledge. You have to do that. There's no two ways about it, right? Like when you want to do an idea, a business, to start a project, and that, we should always go to your elders. The Prophet said, "Al-barakatu ma'a kabirikum."
I'm talking about in terms of partners. Say for example, like you called the first set of brothers, they said no. You called me. Imagine I said no as well, so I'm not really feeling it. Then would you have considered, maybe the idea is bad, or would you have called a third person? So or would you just keep going until you find someone to do it, or is there a point at which you're like,
I would have definitely kept going until I find someone, or if I didn't feel like there was someone suitable that was cool to call next, I would have just kept it on my shelf.
Someday shelf.
That I'm going to come to one day. And I've done that with many projects. I've done that with many projects. Many projects. It's just been on the shelf. And as soon as I find a gap, I throw it straight away. I got something for you. So, but yeah, like I might not have the resources to do it today. And there's many things I want to do that I don't have the resources to do today. But I will do them one day, inshallah.
Don't let other people pull you down.
Well, it's long. Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? The only person, or the only category of people in your life that really you want khair for more than yourself is your children. The only person you want to be better than you is your kid. Does that make sense? Other than that, everyone wants to be better than you. No one wants you to be more knowledgeable than them. No one wants you to have more money than them. Not no one, but I'm giving the general theme. No one wants you to have a better wife or a better relationship or more beauty. No one wants that, bro. For anyone. No one wants that selfless khair unless there's one of two reasons. Number one, it's for a child. Or number two, it's for Allah's sake. It's a love for Allah's sake. A love for Allah's sake. Where you actually look at a brother and you're like, I want you to have more khair than me. But even when it comes to like knowledge, like I don't want no one to have more knowledge than me. I want to be the most knowledgeable. Like I want to be the most knowledgeable. I want to be the one that has the most ibadat. Does that make sense? Like, I love Brother Adam. He was so real. Yesterday, we done the Farsan thing. At the end, he said, bro, I've left this program feeling jealous of my brothers, but in a good way. Not in a way an envious way where I want them to lose their blessing. Because the Prophet told us you could be jealous of a person who has knowledge and a person who has money, right? And they use it for the sake of Allah. He said, because like, they're able to benefit people that I can't. He said, they're benefiting more than me. So, point being is that why are you going to care about people that really, when you boil it down, they have selfish reasons? Like I said, not all. There are, when you go to ulama, they love you for the sake of Allah. When there's certain brothers for the sake of Allah, and then there can be that selfless element there. But I'm talking about business partners, brothers. Very rarely are brothers really like looking out for you instead of themselves. And sometimes the jealousy runs so deep that I mentioned this as an example. I think we're going to talk about it in the next episode, but I hint to it now. Like, even when some people see that you're working so hard and you're doing so much progress that they can't do, they can't show you their jealousy and their enmity. But one of the subtle ways that they do it is that they just try to slow down your work.
Try and slow down your own progress.
Yeah. There's one brother who'd come to me and he'd say, why are you always working? Why are you always giving da'wah? Why are you always seeking knowledge? Take a break someday. إِنَّ لِرَبِّكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَلِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَلِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَأَعْطِ كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقًّا, which is a hadith, which is a haqq. And I love this hadith. I love this hadith. We should do a whole episode on it because people don't understand it. But he was using it wrong, which is that Allah has a right over you. Your family has a right over you. Your body has a right over you. And you know why? You know why I feel like why I didn't take it from him? Because he would only ever come to me when I'm doing da'wah or I'm seeking knowledge. But when it was his exams, sorry, I can't talk right now.
There's no consistency.
Yeah, but I'm studying. Like, he's coming to me in the middle of my dars. I'm in a dars and he's trying to take me out. Relax, just talk. Just because of my ice cream. Shut up, bro. I won't say shut up, but in my mind, I'm shut up, right? Just leave me alone, bro. I want to work. I love it. I love grinding.
So you called me, we clicked, we said, yeah, you know what, let's do it. One of the things, and you mentioned this earlier, one of the key points was we said, let's charge for it.
Yeah.
What's one of the reasons why we decided to charge for it? Why not make it free? Why not allow everyone to benefit absolutely for free? Surely that's a sign of sincerity, is what some people were saying. The fact that you guys are charging, there's an ulterior motive. You just want to make money off of your brothers. You don't actually want to help them. If you want to help them, make it for free.
So people don't realize when it comes to transactions in Islam, yeah, one of the reasons it was legislated, one of the reasons that transactions, bay', Allah said, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ, Allah legislated transactions, business, is because everyone needs something that's in someone else's hand. Okay, back in the day, someone had milk because he's got a cow. I need milk for my kid. I don't have a cow. So how can I get that milk from him? Can I trade? Maybe I got a spear you need to hunt down. Or, I don't know. There's some trade-off. So Allah has legislated trade as a way for people to get what's in other people's hands in a way that's halal without them what? Stealing. The point is that every transaction is an exchange of benefit, an exchange of value. Does that make sense? Every transaction is an exchange of benefit, an exchange and an exchange of value. Does that make sense? So when you're trading in business, you're either trading a commodity, a product, something physical or digital that is going to be of value and benefit to the person that buys, or you're trading a service that's going to be of value and benefit to someone else. Does that make sense? So when I'm giving this to you, what am I getting in exchange? I'm giving you value. Does that make sense? By the way, this is not something that's free that I'm giving you. Sorry, this is not something that is supposed to be free. Like when Allah Azza wa Jalla said to the Prophet, "La as'alukum alayhi ajra." Say, I don't ask you for any money or any payment for my what? For my knowledge, for my da'wah. I'm not charging for my da'wah. In fact, akhi, I am with Allah's tawfiq and by His grace and His virtue, and I don't know why He chose me, but I'm just grateful that I am one of the very, very few du'at that doesn't make a single penny from the deen. I don't make a penny from lectures. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I haven't been paid when I went to lectures in the past, and I used to get paid when I used to work at Knowledge College. But actually, that used to make me sick to the pit of my stomach. My brother used to always come to me and say like that, when are we going to stop this, bro? I said, what the scholars mentioned, you're allowed to when there's a need. I know, but this is not nice. Allah said, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. The prophets were told to say, no, don't take no reward. And nah, I'm not saying it's not allowed to fulfill a person's needs. But actually, I don't want to be earning from the one who what? I'm trying to tell him, take the deen from me. Because there's a transaction, there's kind of like you've got to one up on me, I've got to deliver in a certain type of way to you. Does that make sense? I want to be free in my da'wah.
Plus also like some people don't have the ability they're not really business minded. For them it's just they're a teacher.
Yeah.
They get paid to teach as a job.
Simple.
But for you, it's like you've, Allahumma barik, had the business acumen, you had that business mindset. It's like use it in other places. And to be honest, had you become a teacher and just been paid to teach, you would have sufficed yourself, yeah. But look at, by setting up, for example, the Knowledge College and having other teachers, how many other teachers have, number one, earned an income? How many students have benefited from all these various different teachers?
That I would have been able to benefit, it was just me.
That if it was just you teaching, which at the beginning, that's what, remember,
Just that, it was just me and Saad.
it was you and Saad were just teaching and you were getting paid for teaching.
Mm.
But by taking a step back, focusing on other businesses and actually funding the Knowledge College with some of those businesses, allowing other people to get paid to teach, many other people to earn income, Muslims, families got take care of that, rents were paid and so on and so forth, that there's a greater benefit to the ummah like that.
Yeah, 100%.
But not everyone can do that.
Not everyone can do that. So Allah put me in a position where I can, so why wouldn't I? So the first stage is that while I'm teaching at the Brothers Club, I'm teaching it for the benefit of Muslims. But I'm not teaching you religion here. I'm teaching you through the lens of a religious person, through the lens of Quran. Everything's like that. Like when I'm dealing with transactions, it's through the lens of the Quran and Sunnah. Is this riba, is this not? I'm doing a business deal with the person across the table, and I say riba, take that out. Does that mean that I should now not benefit from this because I'm talking to my business partner about Islamic principles in governing this particular transaction? So we're talking about business, we're talking about marriage, we're talking about mental, physical health, and how that becoming great at it can benefit you in your deen, and how to connect with Allah Azza wa Jalla and so on and so forth, and be free to connect with Him because you've sorted these things out. But the things that I'm teaching them here is what, bro? Is my skill that I acquired over years, over a decade. You better believe I'm going to charge you for that, akhi, because and I think and I'm sick of this entitled kind of nature. There are brothers. You know what shocked me yesterday?
It's feminine behavior.
It's feminine behavior.
You want a man to provide for you.
You want a man to provide for you. Okay, mashallah, I like that you connected that. But you know what shocked me yesterday? That yesterday when we did the Fursan thing, which is our highest value, highest ticket course, where we bring brothers and go through like an intensive, like business program with them, and they really truly do benefit. These brothers paid £2,500 to come, right?
It's £5,000 total, but they pay 2.5 up front,
yeah.
2.5 after.
They reached their goal of £50,000 in profit.
Per year profit.
So point being is that, you know what shocked me? I don't know if you picked this out. You know what they were saying yesterday? Every brother came out, akhi, was just thanking us.
Yeah, it's grateful.
But my point but the angle that it hit me was, you paid me and I delivered a course.
Surely the money should have balanced out the equation.
It's balanced out. As in, by you paying me, you're doing your part. But they truly felt indebted. And I believe that was because
the value they received.
They realized what they got was more than what they paid. Like sometimes we pay £1,000 for things that are worth £100,000. Now there are certain books that I've read that I bought for £20 in the Deen, for example. Like Majmu' al-Fatawa is a book that's probably about £150 if you buy it. But if businessmen who print these books could place a price on it, £100,000 plus, like how much would you value Sahih Bukhari? If you could, they just realized that students of knowledge are generally speaking not very wealthy, so they're not going to be able to pay that. If they realized that they could, that the market that they had been targeting for these books had the money, they would charge a lot of money for Majmu' al-Fatawa and for Sahih Bukhari, right? Point being is that we realized that we got a market. We're providing something of value. It's a skill that I acquired. I'm taking time out from other businesses. Like I took a step back from Sunnah Match. Now Abbas is the CEO. I was the CEO. Abbas the CEO. He runs that. So I took a step back from that, which means I don't get a wage from Sunnah Match no more. Does that make sense? I get dividends, walillah alhamd, but I don't get a wage from it because I don't work on Sunnah Match anymore. So I left that so I could set this up. Do you understand? So now don't look in my pockets then, bro. Like, don't. That's that, again. Why is a man looking in another man's pocket? Do you understand? And another thing is that one of my mentors many years ago, he taught me. He said, charge people. Always charge people. The reason you charge people is, you know why? Because people don't value. They don't value a commitment that they haven't paid a lot of money for, or if they go for free. And it's true. How many people did we give free access to on the Muslim Survivor Guide Knowledge College? We lost count, 100 plus throughout the lifetime, right? The overwhelming majority of those who we gave free access to, guess what? Were the ones that dropped out and didn't turn up to lessons because there was no commitment. Do you understand? So the more you pay, it's not about paying. Right now, we say we're charging too little for the course in the Brothers Club. Like first we charged £300, then we doubled it, £600. But even £600, I'm trying to filter out the guys that are not serious. For some people, I can give them £600 is enough, and they're not actually going to implement what they learn. I only want people that are implementing what they learn. So we have to keep increasing the price until we get to that point where we find people that
serious.
I don't know, we've got many serious brothers, but I just want to filter out the ones that are not serious. Do you understand? So yeah, that's what we charge, bro. I'm gonna charge more. I'm gonna carry on charging. Inshallah. Say Allah barik, don't hear, appreciate.
What's surprising me right now is there's so many things to go through. We've only just done the pre-launch. I want to go through the actual launch itself. There was so much controversy that happened, scholars that refuted us, people that we looked up to that turned on us. So I feel like today we're gonna have to end this episode, but there's so much more to come, and you know there's so many more benefits to be taken. We will have to do a separate episode sometime in the future. But hopefully, inshallah, you guys benefited from this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, if you found benefit in this particular type of episode where we discuss things that have happened in our lives and took benefits from it, then please comment down below. We were having a discussion amongst some of the brothers that are part of the team about the different types of episodes of podcasts. And if you enjoy this kind of episodes and would like to see more of these type of episodes, just comment down below just so we can have a look and see, inshallah. And of course, don't forget, if you're hearing about the Brothers Club, what is the Brothers Club? What is the objective behind the Brothers Club? Although we discussed it, and you're interested in finding out how we can help you, then all you have to do is go to our website, www.thebrothersclub.com, and as we say, become a member, become a man. With that said, inshallah, we'll see you on the next episode. We have to be very quick as we have another episode with two very interesting brothers, and that will be a topic which I'm sure you guys will absolutely love. So we'll see you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.